I'm Phyllis, and welcome to my Southern Simply Kitchen, where Southern food is simply done. Today we're going to be making gazpacho. And I know that word doesn't sound very Southern, but it's from Spain. It's a cold vegetable soup. And when I first heard of cold vegetable soup, I was like, ugh, couldn't possibly be good. This stuff is delicious. And all the hot days that we've had this summer when our temperature has been around 100 and the heat index above that, this has worked out just perfect. So to get started, to make some gazpacho, you're going to need 2 pounds of tomatoes, and I core mine. I do not peel them, just you can cut them up and take the core out. I have a little video that explains how to do that. And then you're going to need a bell pepper, a cup of green grapes, just regular green table grapes, a jalapeno, half of a sweet onion. You want a clove of garlic, a cucumber that's been seeded and peeled, which I have a video that explains how to do that too. And then we're going to need salt and pepper, of course, and then some cumin, red wine vinegar, and a little olive oil, and we are going to have something wonderful. All you need is a blender or a food processor, and we'll get started in just a minute. Okay, we're ready to get started on that gazpacho. And I know I said gazpacho is something, a cold vegetable soup, and so that would infer that it does not need any cooking. However, I don't like the taste of raw onions. I think sometimes they can be overpowering. So I am just cutting up my onion, and remember, this is going to go in the blender, so you don't have to worry about it having these perfect little chunks, but I like to cut mine up pretty fine, but because I want it to cook some, but it doesn't have to be overly done. And so let's just put this in our skillet here. And I've got about 3 tablespoons of olive oil in there, extra virgin olive oil. And we're just going to let those get started, and we're going to let that simmer a little bit. And then I'll get my garlic ready, and you know how to do that. You just whack it there, and like I said, this is going in a blender, so it doesn't have to go through the garlic press either. And you can just chop it up, just give it a rough chop there, and doesn't need to be fine. And we'll put that right in with that onion, because it doesn't have to cook all the way through, but I do want the onion and garlic, I want the garlic to infuse the olive oil, and I want the onions to soften. So we're going to leave that sitting there to simmer just a little bit, and we'll be back with the rest of our vegetables in just a minute. Okay, I've been busy getting my things ready. The onion and garlic have sauteed, and I turned them off, and so I'm ready to put them in. And it's okay if they're a little bit warm. You don't have to cool it off completely, but anyway, just go ahead and dump them in your blender. And like I said, if you don't have a blender, you can use a food processor. It works the same way. And most people, most recipes that I had ever seen for gazpacho, you had to do a lot of chopping and dicing, and I like this one. You do have to do some prep work, but not nearly as much as those other ones. And this is our 2 pounds of tomatoes, and I've cored them, and I didn't peel them, so let's just get them all in here and hope none of them spill out. Usually when I'm doing this, as I core each one, I just throw it right on in the blender, and so it doesn't take very long to do that. And if you happen to get your blender full and you don't have everything in there, it's okay. Put the lid on, buzz it up for a second, and the rest of the stuff will fit in there. So that was 2 pounds of cored tomatoes. And then I have a cup of grapes. Remember, that was just regular old green table grapes. And then I've got a teaspoon of salt and a teaspoon of cumin. And I think cumin is just a wonderful addition. It adds kind of a citrusy flavor. And then I have 1/3 of a cup of red wine vinegar. And just put that in there. And then I have my jalapeno and half of my bell pepper ready. And what you want to do is you're dicing these. See, you don't have to do a fine dice on anything. Just cut them in kind of big chunks and all, because like I said, they're going in the blender. It's going to do the work for you. So let's get them all chopped up here. And I still need to do the other half of the bell pepper, but let's get this in there, because I think we may have to run the blender just a minute, which is what I usually do. But you're going to really like this, because my husband and I, when we have this for dinner, he asks for the leftovers for his lunch the next day, which I think that's always a sign that something's a winner. And see, I need to run the blender just a second. So there we go. We got it down a little bit. And see, my blender's kind of loud, but that's okay. I guess that means it's doing a really good job chopping everything. And just keep putting this in there. And then the bell pepper, I like to cut it from the inside when I'm cutting it up in chunks, and then just cut your chunks. Like I said, just kind of make them all about the same size. And then just go ahead and get them right on in the blender. And if you have one of these little bench scrapers, it works great to help with this. And then, now we've got it all in the blender. And we'll just turn it on and let it go. And my blender is loud. And see how pretty and red this is? I'll go ahead and continue blending, because I know you don't need to watch me with the blender, but it just needs to blend till everything's pretty smooth in there. You don't want any chunks of anything left. You want it to seem like a creamy soup almost. But anyway, we'll be back in just a minute, and I'll show you how to serve this up. Okay, it takes about 5 minutes of blending probably. I keep stopping and starting it, and so it's ready now, and it's nice and smooth in here. And this is when I like to taste it, and so anyway, just get a little bite. Oh, that is so good. And so what I normally do is I take since I have finished blending and it's nice and smooth, you'll still have a little bits of chunks in there. And I take it and I'm going to put this in the refrigerator, and we're going to chill it for about probably 3 or 4 hours. You want it to be nice and chilly, because gazpacho is a cold vegetable soup. And so whenever I put it in the refrigerator, just leave it in there, leave it in the blender jar. And so after it's chilled, then I just bring it back. We will pretend I just let it chill. And then I put it right back on here. I give it a quick blend. And then to serve it, I always put it in a pitcher. Now this pitcher holds enough for my husband and I for dinner, and then some. And so I just pour it up into here, and see how that looks, how pretty it is. And if you wanted it to be redder, you could have used a red bell pepper in here. But red bell peppers are cost way more than the green bell pepper. And so then to serve it, I just take and pour it into the bowl. And see how nice that works? And you have something that's so pretty here. Beautiful bowl of soup. And then get a little taste again. And it is just perfect. I didn't need to add anything to it. Remember, you had 2 pounds of tomatoes, a cucumber, a bell pepper, a jalapeno, a cup of grapes, half an onion, and a clove of garlic, 1/3 of a cup of red wine vinegar, a teaspoon of cumin, a teaspoon of salt, some pepper, and then I used some olive oil when I sauteed the onion and garlic. And just put it all in the blender, and you have a wonderful, wonderful dish for summertime.